So, welcome to the exam. Thank you so much for being here today. So, you've had some time to look at card A, and I see that you've already made lots of notes.
Yes.
So, I'm going to start right away. Tell me, what can you see in the photo?
Okay, the picture shows a man who most definitely seems like a chef cooking or putting together a new meal. It's clear that he's enjoying every moment while he's cooking because his smile is brighter than daylight itself. Speaking of daylight, if you look closely to the bottom left of the picture, you can see some daylight escaping through the window. And it's either morning or like the early afternoon because the sun is extremely strong. Behind the chef, you can see a bunch of spices, a bunch of different spices, and what seems to be an expensive espresso or coffee machine. Um, the walls of the kitchen, are just white ceramic with little to no decor, which is actually perfect because a kitchen isn't supposed to be extremely decorative with a bunch of colors because the chefs are supposed to be focusing on just perfecting the meals. Also, the chef is wearing some pretty simple clothes with just a basic white crew neck paired with a black apron and hair cap, which a lot of chefs need to wear. I rarely see a chef not wearing one, just to prevent hair coming like and interacting with any food during the cooking process.
Okay. And where would you like to work in the future?
Actually, a few years ago, I was sure that I wanted to work in an office, have a bunch of colleagues, interact with a lot of people, and elevate my social skills. But a little over a year ago, I actually changed my whole perspective because I started watching videos about working abroad, and I thought that that was just meant for me. I was meant to work abroad. I really want to work in Paris, attend the Paris Fashion Week, somewhere like land somewhere in the fashion industry because it's something I really love. I love fashion. I'm a fashion maniac. All my friends know that. I want to work abroad because I can meet so many different personalities and so many different strong personalities, especially if I want to work in the fashion industry because fashion industry, there are just so many personalities since it's always such a fast-paced industry because like the fashion shows and if you're coming out with a seasonal collection, everything's just so rapid and so fast.
And
Yeah.
I would like to ask you, do you believe like it's important to have a good job? Like, can you tell me why is it important to have a good job, such
Yeah.
as, the fashion industry,
It's
being in the
extremely
fashion
important.
industry?
Yeah, it's extremely important to have a good job. Well, before we get into like why it's important, we have to know what is a good job. A good job provides work-life balance, financial benefits, career growth opportunities, and most importantly, it provides, it feeds your passion. So a good job is extremely important, obviously, to provide steady income to the worker. So the worker is able to pay for their living expenses such as bills, tax, and rent, and also alongside that, just leaving enough money to splurge on luxury items. Also, it's extremely important, just like the job needs to offer work-life balance, which basically means that the job needs to provide a balance between work life and personal life. A great example for that is having flexible working hours and the ability to take time off of work when needed.
Okay,
Also,
and
okay,
I'd like to stop you there. So I'm going to ask you some more questions that
okay.
weren't on the card, but you've mentioned some interesting point. Um, which would you prefer, working flexible hours
Okay.
or set working times?
Okay, so both of these, working tactics on habits are obviously they have their own advantages and disadvantages. In my opinion, I would want to work flexible working hours. Number one, I can wake up and go to sleep whenever I want, so that's a really good advantage. Number two, I don't feel like it's always a routine. The routine is obviously changing. I'm not waking up at 9 a.m. and going to bed at like 12 or something. There's a flexible routine. I can work in the morning or at night, so it's very flexible. Also, I'm not always in a rush. I don't always feel like I'm in a rush because obviously since it's a routine, I don't feel like I have to wake up at that certain time. I have to go to this place at a certain time. So
That's
it's very
interesting.
flexible.
So you've
Yeah.
mentioned wanting to work in the fashion industry.
Yes.
What are the benefits of working abroad? Because I you know that
Yeah.
when it comes to fashion, you have to travel somewhere. So what are the benefits of working abroad, in your opinion?
You get to see a bunch of different things you've never seen in your country. You get to see new things, new places. You get to eat new, food and drinks. You get to obviously see new people and new personalities. And I also feel like if you do travel abroad and you start, live there or just travel there for a certain amount of time, the way you speak start to change, your accents start to change, the way you talk, the way you move, the way you interact with people, because you're kind of like just mimicking the people that you see in that certain country. So I feel like that's a really good thing.
Okay, well, thank you so much. That's the end of part one of the exam. And thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you.